It's time for Whirlpool presents ESPN Cricinfo T20 timeout powered by Dell. We're looking ahead to the game between Kings 11 Punjab and the Mumbai Indians. Let's welcome Ajit Agarkar and Deepdas Gupta. Right, gentlemen, both teams at the wrong end of a thrilling result in their last outings respectively. You know the drill, 5 statements coming your way. The first of which is Sheldon Cottrell should bowl out before the last 5 for Kings 11 Punjab after that 30-run over against Tewatia. Ajit?
Not necessarily. I think there are other bowlers who've gone the distance. What Bumrah's been hit for 4 sixes in an over by Cummins. So those things happen. You can't because of an over decide that it'll be situational. He is one of your main bowlers. There might be a case where if he's going well up front, you want to bowl him 3, but you'll always want to keep 1 over handy. There's always an option of bringing him in the middle of the innings if need be, but it'll all depend on the situation. So 1 over shouldn't stand against him.
Deep, I guess it's a question of who your resources are, and Jimmy Neesham bowled out earlier and Cottrell bowled at the death. Would you change that around? Would you give someone else the job to bowl the last 5?
I don't think so. I think you have designated bowlers to bowl in the death, and let's be honest, the bowlers will go for a few in few games, and this is the format. This is the nature of the beast. So you can't be holding it against your main bowlers. As Ajit mentioned, a lot of bowlers have gone for a few in the death overs in this tournament itself. At this rate, you got rid of Chris Jordan of the very first game. Now you're talking about Sheldon Cottrell. If this is how you're going to plan, then soon they'll be running out of bowlers to bowl in the death.
All right, let's go to our next point, and this is something Ian Bishop believes very strongly in as well. Bat Pollard higher. Our statement, Deep, is Mumbai should bat Pollard above Hardik. Thoughts?
I'm going to agree with that. I think Pollard should bat, and the way he's batted in the last year and a half, he's not one-dimensional anymore. Earlier on, yes, he would be criticized because of a lot of dot balls and stuff, but I don't think he eats up as many now. I think he's become more rounded as a batsman, and I think he's not just the last 4-5 over batsman anymore. I think he has the ability to bat in the middle overs as well.
It's just one batting position per se, Ajit, but the premise is that he should spend more, he should have more balls to play. Thoughts?
Yeah, he's certainly making a case for himself. I think you'll also look at the opposition, in my opinion. I think the only area where he really struggles is against genuine pace. A lot of batsmen do, but that's where his hitting is not as perhaps as good as what he is against spin and maybe medium pace. Look, Hardik is trying to get back into cricket. He's got some serious hitting ability as well. So you don't want to sort of start chopping and changing when somebody's been out of the game with injury and he's trying to play himself in. But there's certainly a case for the kind of form Pollard is in at the moment. We saw it in the CPL, and he's carried that here. That Mumbai should try and push him whenever they can before Hardik, if the right conditions demand.
All right. What about Mumbai's own composition of their bowling lineup? Ajit, our next point is Hardik Pandya not bowling is hurting Mumbai.
Yeah, look, they obviously, I don't know whether it's hurting Mumbai. I don't think Mumbai have played well enough. I think they still have the resources to get the job done. The 2 losses that they've had, they just haven't played well enough. So I don't necessarily think that's hurting them, but that's a huge bonus if he can start bowling. We don't quite know if he will be able to or not, but that gives them another option, and then he makes him a genuine all-rounder.
Yeah, that's the question we're asking. For a side that's so well-balanced more often than not when they have their best players playing, is using Krunal or having to use Krunal and Pollard's overs every game hurting Mumbai and Hardik Pandya's lack of bowling?
Listen, the good part is Pollard is bowling more regularly now. So even if you leave Hardik aside, they still have, I think, 6 to 7 bowling options, which is more than enough. Yes, if Hardik bowls, it is a bonus. And as Ajit mentioned, it takes the pressure off his batting, and also he can bowl in the death. So that gives you that extra option of bowling someone in the death as well. If he can bowl, it's brilliant. But if he can't, I think he still brings a lot of value as a pure batsman. But it would help if he can bowl, not just for Mumbai Indians, but in the long run for India as well.
Right, our next point for the Kings 11 Punjab is that they should continue with both leg spinners. Ajit, M. Ashwin and Ravi Bishnoi in this one for you?
It's a tough one. I'd be very tempted to get Gautam back in. It's a slightly bigger ground. I'll give you some local knowledge. I was told that the pitch is going to be on, slightly one side of the boundary might be a bit smaller in this particular game, not some 68 meters compared to the 80 on the other side. So there, I'd be tempted because two leg spinners with two left-handers in Mumbai, in Ishan Kishan and De Kock, and we've seen what Pollard's done in the last couple of games against Spain. Gautam's a little bit different. I'm not saying it's a given that you want to play an off-spinner, but I'd certainly be tempted to make that change.
Deep, Pollard and Kishan did take a liking to do leg spinners against RCB, albeit in Dubai. And we saw what Rashid Khan did in the last game at Abu Dhabi. So where do you stand on this one?
Listen, I'll tell you this. I mean, I know it's going to be a different strip. So a different strip because the last strip, the game that was played was a used one. So obviously had a little more help for the spinners. I don't think that this game will have enough help for the spinners. But it's a tough one again. I mean, what goes in favor of Krishnappa Gautam is also the fact that he can bat. And when you look at that Kings 11 batting lineup, yes, the top three has been brilliant so far, either Mayank or KL Rahul specifically. But then the middle order hasn't really been tested as yet. And when I look at that middle order, that looks a little thin to me. So a batsman or a bowler who can bat might add value to that batting order. That's one. Secondly, if the pitch is not turning a lot, I mean, playing a wrist spinner always helps because whatever help a spinner can get, you expect a leggy to extract that. And the fact that they can turn both ways. So,
all right, let's move to our last point. And after two relatively poor scores, we're saying, Deep, that Mumbai should consider Chris Lynn for Quinton de Kock now that Ishan Kishan is in the side as a keeper option.
True, but listen, it's only 2 games that he hasn't fired, rather 3 or whatever. I mean, he hasn't really fired big that way. But he was, I mean, the highest run getter for Mumbai last season. He's been in decent form for South Africa as well. So, I mean, give him a few more games. I think it's too early to take a call as of now. But he's looked good. It's not that he's looked out of form. You know, he hasn't scored runs, but it isn't like that he's looking out of sorts kinds. So I think give him a few more games.
Ajit?
No, don't drop him. I mean, look, it's Quinton de Kock's been a terrific player for them. Again, like Deep says, it's small sample size. He's not looked bad when he's been out there. Got out early against SRH, trying to flick Khalil. So not at all. I think what he offers at the top of the order, plus being a left-hander, it's a huge advantage for Mumbai. So chopping and changing is not necessarily going to do anything at this stage, particularly just 3 games into the tournament.
Yes, if I may add, I mean, you're talking about Chris Lynn. I mean, if you look at his CPL performances, I mean, it's been pretty bad from that perspective. It's not that he's in great form itself. And also the fact that the way he's been getting out in CPL, it's pretty evident that every time he comes out, you put a spinner on and he struggles. So obviously it's not that Chris Lynn is in great form either.
Right, Ajit Agarkar, Deep Das Gupta, thank you very much for looking ahead to that game between Punjab and Mumbai on Whirlpool Presents ESPN Cricinfo T20 Timeout, powered by Dell.